Hey everybody, welcome back to Airsoftology Mondays, the show that answers your questions, helps you out in a pinch, and also helps you navigate the world of sponsorships. I'm your host, Jonathan Higgs, and we are breaking from our normal format a little bit this week. And instead of going into the comment section from last week's video, we're gonna still do that for the next video. I wanted to answer a question that tends to pop up a lot privately in like messages sent directly to me or emails or things like that, or when I'm asked out in public when I'm at games and events, is how do I get sponsored? How do I get things to review, and whether it's reviewing or how do I get sponsored as a team? So I wanted to take this entire video and give you guys the top 10 list things of do's and don'ts to get you sponsored, whether it be in Airsoft media or as a team. And I didn't just make these up on my own. I actually have a lot of friends in the Airsoft industry. They're on the marketing side for big, huge companies. I mean, you guys have been know I've been doing this for quite a while, since 2009 actually, 6 years. So I've developed these great relationships, and I went out and asked all those relationships and got their feedback on what they see, because they get a lot of questions about sponsorships as well. So without any further ado, let's get right on into the top 10 list of how to get sponsored. All right, so first up on our list is something that I was actually kind of surprised to see make almost the top of the list. And this was from a lot of retailers and manufacturers / distributors, people I spoke to, my friends and contacts in the industry, was subscriber count matters. And this is more than probably a lot of the other things you're gonna see later on in this list, is having that number. Now, don't let this discourage you. Don't go, well, great, Jonathan, this stinks, and you just turn this video off right now. But having those numbers do matter. And I think the number that a lot of people settled on was having around 3,000 subscribers, fans, followers, whatever, on each social media platform. Now, not all of them. I mean, if you look at me, my Twitter account is really low because I've never really focused on Twitter. So I'm not saying you gotta have 3,000 on every single social media platform out there. You just need to have like, around 3,000 on each one. And they said that that is the bare minimum. Now, keep in mind, I'm talking to the majors out there. These are some big guys in the industry. So don't let that number totally dissuade you and discourage you, but understand from a credibility standpoint, they're gonna see some big numbers in your social media account. Your local and your regional guys are maybe gonna want to see a little less. I mean, obviously they're gonna see how focused and how broad your message is in that area where you're working in. It might be 500 or 1,000. You need to make sure you're an influencer in the sphere that they're going to invest in. So if you have a shop and you live in a major city, let's say, if you're an influential player there and you have a good audience in that town, and you can show that with your demographics and going through your stats on YouTube and Facebook, and you can show those numbers, that matters. And I think this rolls into another, like, I guess 1B, is understand how to run analytics, whether it's YouTube analytics, whether it's Facebook, and there's a lot of great things out there to help you, teach you that. So understand how to use your analytics and how to present that. So somebody asks, well, how many subscribers do you have? How many are male? How many are female? What's your biggest demographic section? But those things matter. Understand how that subscriber and follower and fan numbers relate to your ability to offer something valuable to that company. Number 2 on the list is quality and creativity count, and they do. You really need to make sure the quality of your videos are really good and you're creative and you're not doing what somebody else is doing in this industry. And admittedly, it's kind of tough, when you've got people that have been doing this for a long time that have kind of staked their claim with a certain style of video review or the way they present their video product reviews. You're gonna need to really break out of that. But it's not that hard. You just need to be creative and make sure it is of the highest quality. There's a lot of tips and tricks around that. I'll give you a hint here at the end of the video so you guys will know how to up your quality game, and I'll actually help you learn and give you some good resources to go and learn. But remember, it does matter. If you're just shooting in like your basement with a door in the background and the audio is really bad, if you're doing YouTube videos, for example, you're not gonna get the attention, and all those things help build those subscribers. So yes, quality and creativity of how you're doing your videos really do matter. Number 3, and this is really important. I personally make this my number 1 thing when it comes to doing these, that free isn't free. I know I get a lot of questions, Jonathan, how do I get free stuff and free things to review? Well, let me tell you what, there's nothing free in this industry. When I get a product in, I don't even look at that as like a gun I get to go out and have a whole lot of fun with, even though it is, don't get me wrong, I love Airsoft, and I think it's what part of this, what I do it, is the passion about Airsoft. And I think that's the way a lot of the YouTubers out there do look at it as well. I mean, my my peers, my friends, people I know in this industry that have a significant following on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, all look at it that way as well. Everything that comes in the door is a piece of content. It's not a free gun, and it requires a lot of work. I mean, if you guys didn't know, most of my reviews, I put anywhere between 8 and about 14 hours of work in the production side alone. That's filming, editing, scripting, all the good stuff, and then all the YouTube side and having to put thumbnails and tags. Not to bore you to death, but there's a lot of hours invested on that quote unquote free product. All right, so tip number 4 is schedule and tenure, and these do matter as well. We talked about number 1, having those subscribers, having those numbers, but they also want to see how consistent you are when you're working with someone on a marketing deal. For example, you're working to get a product from a retailer or a distributor or manufacturer. They also are going to want to see how long you've been doing this and how consistent you are doing it. So keeping a schedule, setting a schedule, making sure if I'm gonna do 1 video a week, 1 video a month, 1 video every 2 weeks, or 3 videos a week, stick with that schedule and announce it, publicize it, put it at the top of the banners on all your social media platforms. I found that the biggest push I had when I really got some traction, especially in YouTube, because I started in podcasts, for those of you guys who didn't know Airsoftology was a podcast prior, was when I got extremely consistent with my videos. And I think setting that schedule and being consistent are going to be some of the more important things, but also time doing this matters. I've been at this, like I said, for 6 years now. I started actually in late 2008, so we're almost exactly 6 years when I started doing the podcast. And having all that time does matter and does help you establish yourself as kind of that trusted source in any industry. We're not talking about airsoft here. I'm talking about in marketing in general. Number 5, how to get content. And I've been kind of telling you all the don'ts and the free isn't free, for example, but you're going, okay, great, Jonathan, well, how do I get content if I can't get, something free in? Well, it's simple. When I started the podcast, what worked for me is we started it because there was a gap in the podcast world. One of my favorite Airsoft podcasts went off the air and I wanted to fill that void. So I went to my local shop and said, hey guys, I want to start doing some reviews on the podcast. So I was able to work a deal. I was able to record in their studio, actually in the actual shop at night, and had access to all those products and guns on the wall. So we could talk about it and talk about all these items for reviews. But even if you don't have the ability to work a deal like that, look around your collection. I mean, if you guys are wanting to get in the airsoft world and get into reviewing products and such, trust me, if you're like me, your closet is full of fantastic things. And don't overlook the small things, optics, flashlights, lasers, accessories, motors, upgrades, not just the big ticket items like guns. All those are a piece of content and a subject for a review video you can talk about. So start with those, practice what you have around you. I will guarantee you, if you do 1 video a week, you could probably look around your room right now and have enough content to last you from 3 to 6 months or even a year without having to reach out to a sponsor. And that will help you build that credibility and get a foundation of reviews before you can go ask the big guys for some help. Well, that's it for part 1 of this 2-part series of the top 10 tips and tricks, do's and don'ts to get an Airsoft sponsorship. And don't forget to watch part number 2 right over here. I'm going to dive a little deeper, give you a few more advanced tips and long-term strategies. And at the end of that video, I'm going to give you that promised link over to a resource that I use every single week to help this channel grow, to help build this channel so I can make better content for you guys out there to enjoy. So that's really going to open some doors, especially if you guys are into the YouTube side of house or figuring ways to make YouTube work with other social media. So I invite you guys to click this link over here to my right and watch the second half, the continuation of how to work with Airsoft sponsorships.